Lenovo! This is the IdeaPad Gaming 3i. This brand new offering contains the latest Intel Core i5 CPU and the weakest of NVIDIA's gamer-centric GPU lineup. These parts, in tandem with the other low-cost components, promises mainstream performance for a budget price. How well does it deliver? Let's find out. This then is the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i. I ordered the cheapest model directly from Lenovo, and it houses the Intel Core i5-10300H CPU that uses 35 watts to run 4 cores, 8 threads, up to 4.5 GHz with 8 MB of L3 cache. Right beside it is the NVIDIA GTX 1650 dedicated GPU, fed by 4 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM. 8 gigs of DDR4 is all it comes with, and the SSD isn't exactly generous at only 256 gigs. The 1080p IPS display promises a rich gaming experience with 120 Hz, while the battery rounds it back down with a whopping 45 watt-hours, which is about as small as they come in this size of notebook. With a battery this size, you'll get 2 hours of streaming video, 40 minutes of gaming, and about 5.5 hours of internet work use. It's pretty typical, not outstanding, but other notebooks with high refresh rate panels can do worse. The IdeaPad Gaming 3i goes on sale at fairly regular intervals for as little as $715, but the configurations shift around, so you might not get one with a 120Hz screen every time the price goes down. More expensive options net you more storage, the 1650 Ti GPU, or the Core i7 CPU. Let's see what all those holes in the side do. On the right is USB 3.0 and the air intake. The left gives us the power insert, gigabit LAN, HDMI, a second USB 3 for a total of 2 standard USB ports, USB-C, headset in, and the Lenovo lobotomy button. Only 2 USBs is just plain wrong, and neither of them are a charge port either. I feel blessed just to have an HDMI out, which is a terrible feeling, but hey, it's got a LAN port for you serious gamers out there with your GTX 1650s. Whoop-de-doo! The AC adapter is a 135 watt unit, and it's not too big with a generously long umbilical cord. It'll stretch about 9 feet with the included modular cable, so you'll be able to get about as far away from the wall as possible if you get a longer from the wall cord. I approve. The top of the notebook is encased in smooth matte plastic that loves finger oil, same as the palm rest. The keyboard keys are made of a slightly different, more coarse plastic. Despite the fact that everything is coated in black, you'll know when it's been used. The rest of the build quality is pretty average. There's a bit of flex under the keyboard, the hinges are a little flimsy, but not terribly so, and I'm pretty sure the coating on the keys isn't going to last very long. The weight falls under the typical gaming notebook category. At 4.8 pounds or 2.2 kilos, it'll wear on your shoulder after a time. Still, there are heavier notebooks out there, like the Dell G3. The bottom cover is held in by 10 regular Phillips screws, of which are 2 separate lengths. There are lots of stern plastic grips, so a prying tool comes highly recommended. When undressed, we see that there is an extra available RAM slot, the SSD is from some company that I've never heard of, and there's an available 2.5-inch drive bay with an included caddy. Thank freaking goodness. It doesn't have a fancy metal bracket like the IdeaPad S340 I recently reviewed, but whatever. Now, the Gaming 3i doesn't have the necessary adapters installed off the bat, but hold your horses, it does come with the damn thing in the box. What's terrible about this is I was excited to see it, like finding the small Lego toy in a box of Cheerios. It's quite sad because notebooks used to come with everything. Also, is the adapter easy to install? No. But have no fear, I explain how to do it in the top right corner. The keyboard on the IdeaPad Gaming 3 feels pretty good. It's similar to the IdeaPad S340 with some noticeable differences. Namely, the keys are slightly more stubborn to press down, have more treble to the clicking noise, and the body doesn't reverberate with bass like the consumer-oriented cousin. As such, I tend to miss a stroke here and there, but overall, it's not half bad. Sure, it's louder, but it's still well within the realm of quiet comfort. The blue-ish backlight has 2 brightness levels, one barely noticeable, the other being much brighter and still not overpowering. The numpad is obviously shrunken, but does contain a double-wide 0 key, of which I'm a big fan if you haven't noticed already. The arrow keys, though, are full-sized and sink below the rest of the keyboard. Honestly, it looks a bit tacky, but I'll take it. You can tell they resisted the urge to put in the 3-barred menu key to the left of the up arrow. Good move, Lenovo. And one of my biggest gripes about the IdeaPad S340 were the playback buttons. They're still here, but as secondary functions to the home and page scrolling keys. It's like people actually watch my videos or something. Huh. And the function key roles can be reversed on the fly. I can dig it. The touchpad is alright. The movement is predictable, doesn't throw me for any loops, and doesn't get in my way while typing. That being said, it does feel a bit cheap, with buttons that sink a little too far on the bottom. Still, gestures work fine, and at least it doesn't have some stupid blue trim on it. I'd actually give it praise if it had physical keys. Yep, I'm still a stickler on that. Fight me, Internet. The 120Hz IPS panel is what had me the most concerned when ordering this notebook. I've heard that 250 nits of brightness isn't all that great, and you know what? No, it's not fantastic, but it still gets bright enough for a well-lit room. Take my opinion with a grain of salt though. I usually keep my display brightnesses down pretty far. While I use most laptops at 3 or 4 ticks from the bottom, this IdeaPad I use 3 ticks from the top and at maximum while on battery saver. Any outdoor use, period, is strictly prohibited, period. Moving on to the 120Hz factor, when playing a game simple enough to run that fast, it's a great experience. The response time is also spot on. Compared to a desktop 144Hz monitor, there is still a good amount of ghosting, even at 60 FPS, so don't expect any miracles in that regard. In other news, the color definition is kind of dull, colors don't distort at an angle, but the brightness shifts at a close angle, it's matte, doesn't reflect anything, and the screen tilts back just far enough for use on your lap. Strangely enough, despite the lack of color definition, blacks stay black against bright whites, and gradients are pretty smooth. I enjoy consuming media on this screen, and I'm pretty sure you will too. Let's talk about these strange emitters that make noise, more commonly known as speakers. The volume is decent and the software kind of pulls bass tones into the treble range, but not so aggressively as to make up for the fact that now heavy guitar parts don't pop. It's a weird middle ground that rubs me the wrong way. Normally, you can either hear the bass line that's not really bass, or you have no bass but heavy guitar parts pop. In this case, you get weak bass and no heavy guitar parts. Oh well, the volume is still good. The system performance of the IdeaPad Gaming isn't half— I'm just kidding. The bass from Rage Against the Machine's Calm Like a Bomb is weak, but audible, and the deep bass from the Perfect Circle's The Package is non-existent. This is a test of the webcam for the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i. I have 3 LED light bulbs on this side. I have 1 LED light bulb over here, so the lighting is quite nice. Thus, the motion isn't half bad, not too terribly fuzzy, but the lighting does get a little bit on the dull side, but that's to be expected. 720p, everything is kind of grainy on the walls. All these white walls are kind of grainy, so it's not the best, but you know what? It ain't half bad. And this is a test of the webcam in poor lighting. As you can see, a lot more fuzziness around the walls. The motion is exceptionally fuzzy in this webcam. But you know what? Overall, it's not a half bad experience. And the audio quality is what it is. If you want better audio quality, just use a headset. And that's a test of the webcam here on the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i. The system performance of this notebook is perfectly adequate. The fans spool up but stay quiet during regular use and are absolutely silent while on battery power. The SSD has read speeds of 2 gigs a second, write speeds at about 700 megs. The write speeds aren't quite up to par with typical NVMe SSDs, but they're still well north of a desktop platter hard drive. As such, load times are minimal and games boot up nice and quick. That being said, if your workload usually involves multiple programs, it wouldn't be a bad idea to invest in another 8 gig stick of memory. Remember, none of the available models come with more than 8 gigs of RAM. On to gaming. If you're concerned about whether or not this GTX 1650 can push 120 frames per second, here's a preview of your life with this notebook. You'll be in the settings menu a lot, tweaking the details configuration. For those not concerned and are just looking for a great experience on a budget, rest assured, it can push frames. Something important to keep in mind, doubling the memory to 16 gigs goes a long way towards improving the overall experience. I did put an extra 8 gigs of memory in it, so I can vouch for this personally. Check out my Gaming with This Notebook video. You'll see the difference. So what are we looking at? Older games run great at high, newer games at medium-high, newest games at medium, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey at medium/low. Seriously, the graphics in this game are terabad efficiency-wise, and if the game wasn't so much stupid fun, I wouldn't include it in my testing suite. By the way, AC Odyssey is one of the games that benefit the most from doubling the memory, no matter what settings you use. In other news, the fans never come close to challenging the speakers for noise dominance, and it cooks while gaming on your lap. This notebook can game on battery power, but it only lasts for 45 minutes, and the frame rate gets a 30 FPS cap, so don't expect Lenovo Legion-esque graphics performance there. For the bottom line, the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i does exactly what it sets out to do. It lets you play games pretty well for the smallest amount of money possible. Does it really only cost $715? No, because you'll definitely want to get another 8 gig stick of memory and a 512 gig 2.5-inch SSD at the same time, jacking the price up another $100 or so. I also want to reiterate that the configuration rotates at the $715 price point. Sometimes you get the 60Hz panel, other times it's 120. Be on your guard. In conclusion, students get a thumbs up, but not 2. The battery life is good when in power saver mode, but the screen might not cooperate in a well-lit environment. It's also pretty heavy to carry around all day. Everything else is fine, the keyboard and the touchpad won't give you beef, and there's plenty of gaming grunt to prevent total boredom, but not enough to wow you into staying away from your studies. Theoretically, that is. Casual gamers, well, if you've been watching from the beginning, you probably have one ordered and on the way already, so there's no reason to give any words of discouragement. You did good. Good boy. Competitive gamers, this is your budget laptop to use if you don't feel like lugging around your prized gaming rig with the Naruto meets Tiger King theme. Oh, is Tiger King not relevant anymore? Damn, missed another trend. Desktop replacement users just might be able to get by with a really fancy USB hub, something that also does external displays, although your second external monitor will only run at sub 60 Hz, and that's a sad existence. Home users can actually go for this. The gamer chic styling is very subtle, the backlit keyboard isn't too gaudy and provides good functionality, and really the only thing you have to put up with is the gaming nomenclature on the inside and on the back. It's a little heavy to carry around the house, but the peripherals, screen, and battery won't let you down, and neither will the price. Go for it! This has been a review of the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i here on Thiege's Notebook Review. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. I also like to clue my subscribers in on excellent used notebook finds. Thanks for watching, and you guys, have a good night.